Vanita, good morning.
Good morning.
I think good afternoon.
Yeah.
It's past 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
And thank you for coming to the Chrome DM corporate office.
Thank you.
And
Thank you for calling.
sincere apologies for this rescheduling of time again and
No,
again from
no,
my
it's
side.
okay.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thank you.
So tell me, let me start off by asking you, why do people write a book? For the money, for fame, or to pass on a message? What exactly is a book? People have been telling me to write a book, so
Yeah. Well, I can tell you certainly that books don't make money
they don't.
unless you're like a Vikram Seth or a Vikram Chandra or somebody. Books really don't make money. So don't do it for the money. You can do it for the fame, but the reason I do it is, uh, in my latest book especially, you learn a lot. It adds to you as a professional, and therefore you make more money as a professional. So there is a, to my mind, it is an investment in yourself. It forces you, because in the normal bhagdad of everyday work, you will never stop and research something fully. But
So
the
what was the research
moment
time for this entire book?
I took 18 months.
The making of Star
Yeah, I
took
was
18
doing work. I was
months.
working also.
So you would have researched people globally who've been associated with
Yeah,
Star.
yeah. I did more than 100 interviews.
Wow,
So
that's a huge amount of
and
investment.
4 months for writing. So 14 months of pure research, and 4 months, maybe some bits of research are happening concurrently, but I'm digesting the material I had.
So you don't make the money, but do you break even? That's a lot of time. A
Well,
hundred
let's say the
interviews.
advance
You would have
covered my
traveled a
research.
lot.
I traveled, no, I didn't travel much. Singapore, Bombay, Delhi. I couldn't do London and Australia and all that because my research cost didn't cover that. But I did a lot of phone and Skype interviews, huge numbers.
So who all features in the book? I know Uday does. Peter obviously does. So you split the book into different sections.
Yeah, so the book has 4 sections. And this was Sameer's idea actually. Sameer
you
Nair.
need to have the Chrome branding there so that the. But you can carry on. It's okay.
Sameer Nair actually suggested this when I did the first interview with him, and he was so enthusiastic about this book. I owe him a lot when I did this book. So he said, you
So
break
Samir was on phase of a CEO because he was CEO for a while, for
yeah,
about
he was.
2 years.
So he said you have
During
to-
my tenure, he was the CEO for a while.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So he said, break it up into sections by, you should break up the book by CEOs. And I thought, once I researched, I realized it was a very sound idea because News Corp is a very federal structure. What was News Corp earlier, which included the TV business? It's a federal structure. CEOs are left alone to do their thing. So the India CEOs were largely left alone to. So whatever
So
Star
they would
was,
be answerable to the investments and the bottom line, and that's
that
it.
is it. That is it.
So I remember, sorry to cut you in between, when
Yeah.
I was working for Star, we were on the Star payroll, so we were part of National Geographic. So Zubin was my boss, so he was the managing director for does Zubin feature in the book?
No, Zubin refused to be interviewed.
Or Zubin refused to be
Yeah.
interviewed? Okay, so he's gonna get tagged
See,
on
the
this interview.
Disney takeover was happening, getting operationalized when I was researching.
Yeah.
So suddenly, after saying yes, Star closed. So
Yeah.
I got only 3 interviews in Star.
Yeah.
I didn't get the rest of my interviews.
So what Zubin told us during the early 2000s is when they would go for their annual presentation to News Corp and get a window with Murdoch, the entire National Geographic, which is India plus all the countries put together, all the CEOs, all that business put together, would get 5 minutes of Murdoch's time. And that's it. And that 5 minutes is Murdoch when you tell him that, listen, this is what you did for the year, and he'll tell you, great job. And you move on. So that's what National Geographic was in the scheme of
but it
things
was
for
very
Murdoch.
small, I suppose, in the scheme of things.
India at that point was doing we did about 38 crores, which is about 7 million US dollars in top lines on National Geographic at that point
Which
in
year
time.
are you talking about?
I'm talking about 2000. I was in Nat Geo from 2000 to 2005, so I'm talking about 2004 when I moved to sales. It was a small piece, but National Geographic is a good brand to have, right?
Star was just about whatever, $300-400 million, $500 million top line at most.
Against the 2 billion now.
2 billion now. So
That's
it was
14,000 crores.
See, it was one of Rupert's pet markets, India.
It was the biggest.
He-
It is the biggest market for Star, right? India.
Now it is.
It is
At
80%
that
of the
time-
market.
That time it was no.
80% Star.
Star
of India.
Asia.
Star. Oh yeah.
But in the News Corp global scheme of things, it's still 6-7% of top line.
Okay.
Yeah. So even then, it was. I think that time it was must have been less than 1% of
Yeah.
top line.
So tell me, let me just digress on the question. $2 billion top line of Star, put everything put together, another 15-20%, 2.2, $2.3 billion against an acquisition of $0.8 billion about 3 decades back.
$870 million is all that Rupert paid. And then, of course, what he's invested over the years.
So that's $0.87 billion upfront buyout cost plus investment. So that'll be excess of $1 billion.
Oh, it'll be in excess of $7 or $8 billion.
Against a...
If you look at it till the time he sold it to Disney,
yeah,
it's huge. They've never repatriated profits.
Was it a good buy according to you with the kind of returns after
Disney
like almost 3 decades? Good for Murdoch for the valuation it's gone for with Disney, right?
See, India is a growth market. India is not it's not a 1%, 2% market. You know what TV
Yes.
growth rates are in India. So scalability is huge. You're in a dominant market position in a growing market. So it's a fantastic buy. Now on valuation, you can argue. One media CEO actually did the numbers and he said, the IRR is just about 1/3, 30%.
Yeah.
And he says that's not a great IRR. But my point is that, sure, maybe it's not great.
So I know who said that. Can I name it?
No.
Okay, carry on.
You can't.
Okay, carry on.
Because that was said off
Carry
the
on,
record.
yeah.
And but what Murdoch effect he's had on this market is he's created the entire media ecosystem in India.
Yeah.
When you talk about remember, Murdoch didn't begin Star. Star came to India in August 1991.
Yes.
Right?
Murdoch eventually acquired it.
Murdoch eventually acquired it completely in 95. So it was the first foreign broadcaster after CNN. It
Yeah.
came with 4 or 5 channels.
Yeah.
The impact it's had, and it did the first local Indian channel called Channel V. I don't know if you remember. It did
I
the
do.
first news channel in this country called
Star News.
Star News. It did
In collaboration with NDTV.
NDTV programmed the channel.
Till
Star owned it.
they broke up in early
Their
2000.
contract expired in 2003, so they parted.
And that's
up.
when they split.
Yeah.
And that's when the Raj Nayak controversy happened when he moved from Star to NDTV, right?
because of
Raj
this-
features in the book?
Yeah, Raj, which is very
Wow.
heavily in the book.
Wow.
Raj
He's been an integral component
Yes,
of Star.
yes,
So I used to work in the teams where Raj was not Raj, Monica Tata was heading the revenues at this point. Does Monica Tata feature in the book?
Yes, she does.
She does?
Yes, she does. She
Wow.
does. So you can quiz me on who all were there, and I can tell
So
you.
I can tell you people, so Dilshad doesn't figure, you said.
She does. She does.
Dilshad figures in the book?
Yes, of course she does. I
Wow.
interviewed her. She was very, very.
Tony De Silva?
Tony De Silva is there.
Wow.
Huh?
That's the entire set of
Jagdish
stuff.
Kumar is there.
Jagdish is there?
Yes.
Jagdish went on to Hathaway and now I think
Hathaway.
he's
Now
doing his own
he's-
thing.
Now he's doing his own thing.
I think he started off his own thing. Sumo features in the book. I met him in
Yes,
Dubai
Definitely
for lunch.
Sumo pictures in his book. Now
Wow.
he's with VFS.
Wow.
Sumo is with VFS now.
That's
So, see, these were guys I've hung out with.
I was a minion, so I was nowhere in the system obviously at that point in time.
Well, I was a minion. I was an outsider, but I used to do so many. I was on the beat, so you meet people all the time. I was covering media, and Star was like one of the biggest movers and shakers. So,
Yeah.
you met these people when their careers were forming,
Yeah.
and so those bonds lasted. Those professional bonds.
Yeah, I can imagine. So they say almost everyone who is today heading some media business in India or abroad is probably a graduate
Star.
of the Star 2000
That's
batch.
true for Star and Times of India both.
Times in India as well.
You-
M.K. Anand.
Yeah.
the entire-
So they all
Joy,
alumni.
Joy, Times and Star. So Joy figures in the book.
Joy Bhattacharya, na?
Chakrabarti. So there-
He's the Dangal guy, na?
Dangal guy now. Yeah.
No, he's not there. In
Okay,
the book.
that's okay.
He's not there in the book. Because in my mind, he was Z.
Correct. So he's been Z, Star and Times. So he's got the pedigree for all three. Arun Mohan features in the book.
I-
Arun was a right hand to Peter
Yes,
during those days.
Yes, but I tried very hard, but Arun didn't meet me. He's
Right.
Delhi based, but we just couldn't. I
Yeah.
tried very hard to meet him. Ratikant features, Peter features very, very prominently. There are 3 chapters on Peter, 3 on Uday, 2 on Ratikant Basu, and I think 2 on Richard Lee.
Yeah.
So it started with a
So
misfired satellite.
I remember this talk we used to have when the Star News was in concept. And there was a huge amount of investment that ran into some $50-60 million at that point in time. And Ratikant Basu went back to Murdoch asking him whether he would get that kind of an investment to launch news in India. And he was told that he need not ask for these sums.
That's
Is that true?
Yeah, it's there in the book. This anecdote is there.
Oh, wow.
Ratikant has related this anecdote to me. So actually the stories are very
That puts
interesting.
someone in so much pressure. Imagine $50 million.
But
no
that's what I
approval,
said.
right?
The News Corp is very federal. Even today, Uday says, unless I need some basic strategic stuff or some major investment, Kabaddi was an idea he took to them. I mean, can you imagine any other company investing that kind of money in a completely, what is known as a rural backyard kind of game. We all know kabaddi.
Yeah.
हमने बचपन से देखी है, खेली है.
And bringing it back to the masses,
To
wow.
bring it like this, to invest this kind of money, or to invest in programming. I mean, KBC at its time was one of the most expensive programs to be made.
Yes.
And it was called Kaun Banega Lakhpati.
Lakpati, I know that. So Lakpati to Crorepati, you feature that episode as well?
Yeah.
Sameer
it
Nair
is the
asking for an
prologue.
approval.
It's the prologue in the book.
And it goes from a weekly to a daily on Murdoch's recommendation.
Totally. That first 2 pages
We
of the
all
book
knew
is-
that in Star when we joined.
That was the most famous meeting in Star.
Yes, so I joined Star in 2000 August, exactly when KBC went on air. And imagine the excitement we had.
July
That's
it
when
went
was
on air. True,
Yeah,
true,
so
true.
I was there when
Absolutely.
KBC was on a high.
Oh.
And we ran internal incentive programs on the back of KBC. So we created our own AVs, and which were Kaun Banega Lakpati or Kaun Banega Crorepati for the entire sales team incentive plans.
And
That's
imagine
how
this
big
is
KBC was.
9 years after you're in that market, finally you see some success.
Yes.
You know, Star had seen no, except for Channel V,
Yeah.
which was a small play. You know.
Star Plus was the bold and the beautiful. That's all it was.
No, they tried. I don't know if you remember in the 90s, they did Saas, they did Chandrakanta, they whole lot of things which Basu brought, which did well, but you know, Star became this hybrid English Hindi. It couldn't do Hindi completely because it had an agreement with Z.
Right.
So there was a thing that you cannot do more than so much.
Hindi
And
programming.
they kept breaking that thing, and then Z took them to court, and then the divorce happened in October 99.
Right.
Then Star was free. And that's how in July 2000, KBC launched it.
Yes.
The moment Z took them to court, they knew that finally
KBC defined television. India would be
changed.
in curfew at that point in time.
Yeah.
9 baj gaye kya?
it was the Ramayana of
It was
its
the
time.
Ramayana
It was a
of
Ramayana of
television.
its time.
What a show. And not only, and Sameer Nair obviously had a lot to do
Yes,
on
he did,
KBC.
he did,
Sameer
he
was
did.
behind it.
So this
But
KBC is one long chapter in the book, and I enjoyed doing that chapter because you know Amitabh said this, and then they had this meeting, and so doing that was great fun. Just
Wow.
getting into
You
the
met
background.
Amitabh for this book?
No,
No,
he
not for
didn't
this
meet me, but Siddharth I spent a lot of time.
Siddharth
with
Basu, wow.
So he was very helpful,
Wow.
like from base onwards, you know.
this thing redefined television.
Yes,
it redefined Amitabh. It got back Amitabh on
Yes.
the on the
It
on
was
the
totally
road.
down and out.
He was
It
completely
took
out.
3
What?
months to decide, and Hong Kong is saying, Hong Kong was the head office then.
Yes.
Why is he taking so long? What's the big deal?
Yes.
They never understood that Amitabh was like the Marlon Brando of India. Marlon Brando
Yes.
does not do TV shows.
Right.
And in 2000, no film actor worth his salt would
And
have
that
done a TV
completely
show.
got defined post that. Now every
Now
actor is on TV.
Roshan Abbas told me, no, he says, after KBC, they stopped taking people like us, you know, hamara dhanda bana.
Because the big guys came, all the big guys came, and these guys backed out.
Roshan always jokes about it. That when they took KBC to Amitabh, Amitabh said, you want to make a Roshan Abbas out of me?
Wow. And KBC continues till date.
Yes,
It's
17
successful.
years.
And Amitabh is synonymous with KBC. They tried changing the host, it never worked, right?
Shahrukh ke saath nahi did
नहीं चल
work. He
पाया
tried.
शाहरुख के साथ, and there is a version of a KBC on, I think, with Salman on some other network, which also didn't
I
work. It was a quiz show, but nothing that the charisma that Amitabh
No, in
commands.
2000 itself, both Sony and Z tried very bad versions of it. Sawal 10 crore ka and Jeeto Chhappar Phad.
Yes.
And they were really bad shows. एक गोविंदा के साथ था, एक पता नहीं किसके साथ था.
Yeah.
सवाल 10 करोड़ का I think was on Z,
Yeah.
and जीतो छप्पर फाड़ के was on Sony. And they were-
Yeah. But not fairness over the last, I think, last decade, at least the last one decade, between Z, Star, Sony, and Colors with Raj Nayak, they've all got their unique content, unique programming, which is resonating with the audiences. And that's why Hindi GEC today continues to be the largest
Huge.
share of voice
It's huge.
across
It's like
genres.
40% of all viewership.
Not
is
30,
Hindi.
it'll be about
27.
12%, about 15% of all viewership,
All
which is a
so
huge.
50 to 53 is GCs.
Uh,
Total 50 to 53 is GCs, including language GCs. I
Right.
don't know how much
Achha,
of-
including the languages. So I'm talking Hindi GC is about 12%, language would add up to that. Absolutely. So television is entertainment, and that's what entertainment moves in. Now on entertainment itself, moving from linear to OTT, right? What's your take? Does that feature in the book? The
Yeah,
transition?
the Hotstar story features, you know, how that came. See, also remember that Star was the
Hotstar is again a
earliest
huge
investor.
debate, right? People are talking about the investments. Is it really flying with the biggies of the Netflixes and the Amazons?
I
It's a
put some of the
huge leap.
numbers till 2018. Some of the numbers are there. It was loss making till 2018,
Right.
but which is fair enough. I mean, at this stage, tell me, even Netflix is not exactly
one is,
like hugely
yeah.
profitable or something. I think except for YouTube,
Yeah.
YouTube might be profitable.
No, not
because
only
like
that, because the competition gets tough. Now you've got a Flipkart, you've got a Zomato, where the OTT business is not the business. That's just a means to an end
That's
to drive walk-in. So that's competing. That's a huge challenge.
I wrote about that. So it's non-media companies using media to drive engagement.
Correct.
But you also have a Times network getting into dine out to drive transaction.
Right.
So both ways it's happening. Media
Yeah.
companies getting into transactions, but media companies getting into transactions or non-media getting into media has typically not been very successful globally.
Right. Right. So, what's your take? I don't know if the book, The Making of Star India, features the fact that linear is actually getting overtaken by OTT. So globally, for the first time, OTT overall time consumed on OTT is higher than that on television. Is that a major threat on
In
linear
India,
TV?
it's not so
Not
yet.
yet.
Not yet. Definitely not yet.
And that's probably because of the fact that linear TV
Linear
reaches
is doing
210 million homes.
huge,
The penetration is so much.
One. And also, you must remember that when you say OTT, 60-70% of OTT viewing is catch up TV.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's so you're saying the format is different, but I'm watching similar programming.
Yeah.
So, and whether you like it or not, media companies understand content.
They do.
Not all OTT companies understand.
But I think-
if you're pure tech oriented,
Yeah.
your understanding of content is always flawed, I've found.
Absolutely. But there is one more point to that, Vanita. People in the linear business are not ideal to understand the content that goes into OTT.
No, people
They're
in
two
the
different
film
things.
business. I
Film in
find
the business.
film business, and also I believe that OTT should be driven more by subscription revenues. That's when you will see the quality of content which Netflix has got us used to.
Yes.
And remember, Netflix is what, less than 1 million homes or whatever. I don't know what it is in India. The huge numbers of people see YouTube.
Yes.
YouTube is my multiplex of content in this
Yes.
market. It is the
Yes.
biggest broadcaster online.
Yes.
Yeah, it's more than 2,000 crore, 265 million Indians.
Yeah.
Then you have these other guys, Hotstars and MX Player and all
Yeah,
of them.
yeah.
And they also, a whole lot of them depend on catch-up content.
Yes.
What would Hotstar be without content from Star?
Yes.
Or what would
Yes.
Z5 be without content? I mean, they will do 4-5 originals.
Yeah.
And what is Netflix becoming? Netflix is becoming a studio.
Yes.
So I think the lessons for OTT will come from the film business, not from the TV
Absolutely.
business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So tell me who all features in the book. Does Ajay Vidya Sagar figure in the book?
Yes,
He does?
very, very, very
Does
proud.
Puneet Johar figure in the book?
No, Puneet.
So
Johar.
Puneet, okay. So
Puneet
Puneet
Johar.
Johar moved on to Singapore.
Yeah.
You tell me names. Give me names of people who all feature in the book. So you've given us
Pranay.
all the names. So there is Peter, Sameer, Raj, Sumo, Zubin refused obviously.
Pranay Roy.
Monica, Arun, Pranay there.
Pranoy is there. I interviewed him, though he doesn't want to be quoted, so I quoted him from his book. Raghav is there. Raghav was the first program producer for Star in the 90s.
That's right.
Raghav Behel is there. Oh, they are all there. Everybody who's been, Ronnie is there.
So we used to do the
Ronnie
dubbing.
Screwvala, they picked up.
We used to do the dubbing. The natural
But-
dubbing used to happen on the UTV studios in Panchil Park.
Even before that, Rupert picked up a 30-40% stake in UTV years back.
That's right.
After he picked up suddenly and totally out of the blue, and nobody understood why, and I don't think that investment quite worked out.
Right.
But it was early days. Nobody knew anything. Koi market hai nahi na.
Does this book also talk about the Star investment in Hathway at that point in time? I remember Hathway, they picked up a
So they
decent
picked up
stake.
a 26% stake.
That's right.
But then they broke up. Once Uday came, he got out of all. He says, wherever I cannot, it does not fit me strategically or I don't have a say, I'm going to get out. So he got out of news. He got out of Hathway. He broke away from the Balaji arrangement.
Right.
Right. So he did all those things.
Right.
His first 2-3 years, he just did a cleanup.
And now the India business is mostly being driven by Sanjay, I would assume. Sanjay figures in the book? Sanjay Gupta?
Yes, Sanjay figures in the book.
Sanjay
but
Jain figures
he's
in the book?
He's not featured as in quoted.
Okay.
He features in the book as
features in the book.
as Uday's right hand man.
Wow.
So
What a lovely initiative. I think it's got all the star people together talking about it. It's the buzz of today in the industry. Fantastic, Vanita. Thank you again for coming down
thank you. Thank
to
you
the
for
Chrome
calling
office. And let's look forward to some good lunch now.
me. Okay. Which you're not eating.
I'm fasting. Yeah. I
Kya
do this
fayda
weekly
phir?
fast. Yeah. What to do, huh?
I'm not having lunch.
No, we'll feed you. We'll feed you well. Thank you very much, Vanita.
Thank you.